Hi there, just going to run through a couple of releases from Catfish Bait UK. We have two. One is our 28mm pellets, pre-drilled. They are in one of our oils with a high flavour of Mack Attack or squid stew. Pre-drilled, hole already there. They are very oily, so they will last ages out in the lake. To go with them, we've got our new pop-up sticks, 28mm as well to match these. In the pack, you get 3. One black, so it doesn't stick out, or if you want it to stick out, which most people do, and to be honest I do, is the red. So that's what you get with a packet. You get 300 grams of the pellets, by the way, for your hook baits. So I'm going to show you some of the rigs, or a rig that we actually, a lot of us do use with them. Here's one pre-done. There's the rig, and that's how it'll sit in the water. It'll sit like a snowman. If you cut that slightly bigger, you can get it to stick up. Use a Fox 1 swan weight, and you can get it to sit like that. I tend to use that more in murky waters, especially if you're fishing in heavy silt. But if I'm in clear waters, I like it to sit like that so it doesn't stick out so much. I'll show you how to tie this. Basically, take your favourite hook link, doesn't matter what it is, whatever you're comfortable with. Catmaster's RT hook link, I'm hearing good reviews of, but I tend to use all different ones, depending. If I'm fishing for big fish in tight areas, I'll use a heavy one. If I believe I can get away with a lighter one, where I'm fishing for smaller fish, non-snaggy, bit of room, then I will lighten down. But this is where common sense comes in. Don't get caught out. Always fish for the biggest fish in the lake. So take your hook link, take your favourite hooks. Mine are wide gap by Calder, got to be the double X's. They're as strong as anything. There are other hooks. If you've got to go fully barbless and you're not allowed to clip the barbs, I'd recommend Catmaster's RT hooks. So here we go. Basically, take a loop, come in from that way, then you need one of these little swivels, bait swivels. It's fiddly, I'm hoping you can see some of this. Then that loop goes over, then you pull it down so you're roughly in line with the barb. So you like that. Then just do a knotless knot, knotting away from the join of the hook. I normally go 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And come in through the back. Can be a bit tight depending on the eye of the size of the eye of the hook, but these do it quite comfortable. Pull it down. When you pull it, it'll turn a bit. So pull that knot back round. Leave you with that. Trim your tag end. Don't trim it tight. I normally leave, I don't know, about 5 centimeters. Because you can adjust that. You can pull that down if you need to. So that leaves you with that. Throw that away. Then we go for a bit of shrink tube. Some people use it, some people don't. I do. Slide your shrink tube down. Just so it covers the knot. Tuck your little bit in there. Then shrink that down. Obviously I'm not going to do that now. Then I always use at least one sinker, because even with sinking line it can come up. So one sinker goes on. Then you need to pick the length of your hook length, depending on what you're fishing over. Sometimes I fish them long, sometimes I fish them really short. So that is personal preference. Chop and change, don't fish them all the same length, that's what I would say. Then I do a figure of 8 knot with a big loop. Keep a nice big loop. Twice through. Pull that down. That's your knot. Then do another little knot, just a granny knot in the end. We'll explain that later if you're not sure. And trim your tag. So then there is your basic rig. This I tend to keep further towards this way, but you need to see how it sits in the water. With this particular hook length, the bit that will start to float is the bit that's doubled up. So that's the bit you want to keep down. This particular hook length stays flat on its own, except the knotted bit. So now to put your bait on. Basically a craft knife. It's trial and error, you get to learn the sort of size you need. But this should be the right size if I get it right for the film. So that's the rough size and thickness that should sit it up and not pop it up. We'll see if that happens. Now, there's one other thing we have to do to this rig, but you can't do it until you've taken your bait floss. Through there. It's a bit fiddly, especially as you get older, like me, you miss the eye. You youngsters will be fine, your eyes are still good. Nice big long bit of bait floss. Now, this little bit, can use inner tubes from, you need basically a bit of rubber, any bit of rubber. Chop a little bit of rubber off, normally about that size. Then pierce a hole through, careful. And pull down. You only have to do this once, you don't do this each time. Once you've got them on there, they stay on. So then you pull this down. This basically stops your pellet, when your pellet's on there, falling tight to your hook. It keeps it up against that swivel. So we pull it down, and then we pull it over the first swivel. So it sits like that. So then, where are we? Take your popper. I go through the flat side, not the round side. Use a latch needle. Makes it a bit easier. As you can see, that's going to sit against that. It's not going to go right the way down. That's what that rubber bit does. Thomas showed me the rubber bit. That was his idea. Good little tweak. We all know Thomas from the team. Right, then one single knot to start you. And take a large one of these. These are actually, I get these from, they're from fire hydrants. Another team member, Darren, put me onto these. You can cut them to any size. That's bigger and stronger than the ones you buy in the tackle shops. So do another little loop. Pop that in. Big baits, big bait stops. And a few more granny knots. Trim it off. And that is basically your rig. I'll show you how it sits in the tank. I've got one done earlier that's already shrunk down. So put that one aside. Let's go back to this one. Now while I'm at it, I'll show you some lead bits. Might as well do it all in one. Normally, last, I don't know, 6-7 years I've been fishing leads with an insert like that. Something else I've picked up, something else Thomas showed me. So a different way of doing it. Basically, Fox tadpole multi-beads. So we take one of these. Takes a little bit more setting up, but it's a little bit more accurate. So with one of these, basically cut them. This is what I do. So basically, without them cut, you've got a really small hole, which makes it hard for your line to pass through if you were to get caught. But with that, you've got a nice big hole, so knots can go through that. It's quite important, that. Then take your leads, whatever leads. I've got a couple here. That's a Fox lead with one already done. That's just a standard. Not even sure what make that is lead. So that's from before. There's another lead I quite like using. Basically, you need to super glue that into there. Push them in. It's a nice little fit, but super glue them to get them in solid. So we take this one, we use this one. So then I've done a little video not long back about the leaders I'm using. This is that particular leader. So all we do, so this one's already been super glued. Pass through. Pull that through. Now, bearing in mind it's going to be wet, but that lead sits in there. It's trial and error. You learn how much to push it in there. Just enough to give it a little bit of a clip. Just sits in there. Then take your rig. Now this is where we use the big loop and a little bit on the top. It's a bit fiddly to get in. Sometimes you need pliers, but I normally use my teeth. So you pass that through, teeth. Pull that first knot through. Open your loop up. Pass your bait through. So you can have a few of these sat in your bivvy, sitting in soak or sprayed up. And that's one thing I do like to do, is I use our spray, the Mack spray, and I'll actually spray them up an hour or so before they due to go out, leave it to soak in and then cast out. Just a few little sprays, but don't get it on you. I'm not going to do it now because it stinks. So that would be pulled into there, like so. And done it on other videos. Fish picks it up, feels the weight, pulls the hook in, then runs, and that runs free running. So you get a screaming run. So you can use monkeys and that on your line. You haven't got to worry about anything like that. So you can see a drop back if it was to pull back a little bit, but as long as you get it pushed in just right, that comes free and it's all running nice and smooth. And this is how it sits in the tank. There we go, sitting just nice, just sitting above your hook length, ready for a fish to come along. You could probably get away with a little bit more to get a little bit movement out of that, but what you need to take in consideration is that pellet will take on a bit of water, will get a little bit heavier, and then after a good few hours, and I mean it'll be out there all night, it will start to break down a little bit, and when little bits come off, obviously it gets a bit lighter. So you don't want it. With carp fishing, I'd get it so it was really just settling down, but with these, you don't want it too critically balanced. Otherwise, after 3 or 4 hours, you find it will be popped right up. So get it pretty much like that. So a fish can come along. It's ready just to waft up, but that'd be like that all night long. That particular rig as well, I will fish a single pellet. This has got no pop-up on it, but there's just another rig out there. It's a lighter one, it's a single, but without the pop-up on, that's how it's going to sit. But by putting a bit of pop-up, which this is the reason why I use pop-ups, just to balance them up, sit on top of your hook, which they won't otherwise. Hide your hook, and it's just getting ready just to come up straight into the fish's mouth. So, bits I've been using. I personally like these for that rig. That's for the lead. Fits in most leads, and the weights I normally use are 5 ounce at the moment. You need your bait floss. I think that's about it, all you need. But more importantly, you need our new 28mm pellets, pre-drilled, and our sticks.